All right, welcome back to another episode of the Top of Off Cricket Podcast. I am your host, Kevin Henry, and with me, as usual, I got my brethren Sam and Walter, and we talking everything West Indies cricket. So yesterday was a busy day for West Indies cricket. 3 matches, 3 losses. Fellas, we in the baseball terms, we strike out yesterday. The senior men's team took a beating. Well, that is not beating, it's a thrashing up in Ireland. The ladies got a beating in England. Kudos to Hayley Matthews. That was a really, really brilliant knock. You know, we'll get into that a little bit more. And the A team didn't play so well against South Africa A. So we're gonna start with the senior men's, fellas. Walter, you sounded kind of pissed off yesterday in the text, in the group. How are you feeling today? How are we feeling?
I mean, with West Indies, you know, I tell you, West Indies to me is like a nice girl that you're there with that is just cheating you and everything. So this is what happened. I catch you with another man yesterday, and I feel bad and. And actually, she cheated me 3 times yesterday, and I still feel.
I should make you ball your head.
Yeah, I should make a ball my head. I just ball out my head. And it's 3 different men she had yesterday. So what again?
3 different men, huh?
Yeah.
She had an Irishman, an Englishman, a South African.
And all them put a good beating on shit. Like, we don't promote. But we know what in
we know
parlance. Yeah.
Oh,
fellas is I mean, it's where we at as a team, and sometimes we just have to accept it. And I've come to the acceptance, and the thing is though that it's not like Ireland beat us. Is that in terms of the batting, we threw our wicket away, and I watched the highlights back because I watched the entire match, but I watched the highlights back again just to see, with the exception of, but even Evan Lewis, he didn't run straight. He kind of veered to the left.
Would you hold him responsible for his dismissal?
I would. I think I run it straight through people.
Sammy, your thoughts on the game yesterday?
The one word I would use for the men's game is unprepared. In fact, that match yesterday was really a warm-up match. That wasn't an ODI. That was a warm-up game for West Indies. So within that context, I cannot say that I am overly upset with the loss, because recall now, West Indies could have lost that game, but maybe by 2 wickets, or maybe at 20 runs or 25 runs, something like that, you know? And it would not have been as bad as it was yesterday. So it tells me that, look, we were not prepared. Now, when it comes to our preparation, and I raised this with you last night, Kevin, we saw images of players in the nets with jackets on because apparently it's cold or too cold for them or something. Now, in my view, whenever you're practicing, you want to mimic match conditions as best you can, right? So you dress in a way that you can keep yourself warm, whatever undergarments, you know, you need to keep some heat trapped there, right? But the way I see players dressed in the nets, no. We clearly were not prepared for that game. But let me stop there.
You know, it seems like we're making a habit of showing up to major tournaments or tours unprepared. If you remember England last year, the fellas were unprepared, which it is why the first test match looked the way it did, right? Against Bangladesh, really and truly, we were unprepared, right? Go to Pakistan, same thing. We come to Ireland, it's the same thing. And I don't know what's going on in international cricket today, whereby teams are showing up and you're not offered a chance to really get acclimatized, get a game or two in, you know, kind of knock out the cobwebs, so to speak. And it showed in our performance.
Well, I'll jump to the defense in terms of preparation. With all the T20 cricket that is being played around the world, maybe it's preventing teams and our team, especially the teams that are not in the position like the Australians and the
Absolutely.
Indians of the world,
Absolutely.
Englands of the world. Because some of the players were in Pakistan, some of them were in the IPL, some of them weren't playing in the IPL, and it showed in Shamar Joseph, as you said, as you guys were saying in our chat, that he was rusty. So I mean, and that's the thing. It's that's what we have to, as a nation, deal with. So I'm not going to beat up the West Indies cricket board as much.
It's not solely, you know, the fault of the players, right? Or West Indies itself. It's the global dynamic of the game right now in what is going on, right?
So Kevin, do you think, guys, and Sammy, do you think that because that happened, we need to have a mental, like, that is part of the game that we need to deal with, and so people could turn that switch on right away and just to understand where you're at?
Walter?
Yeah.
I know you haven't had a chance to do so yet, but when you listen to Roston Chase, his interview on Sportsmax, which was put up on YouTube maybe less than an hour ago, he makes that very point about the mental aspect of things. Yeah, that is where that is what he says makes a ton of difference.
Well, it seemed like he was turned on because he top scored for us, and it seems that he was willing to. The thing about it, fellas, is that from when I look at it, a lot, as I was saying earlier, a lot of the people threw their wickets away, and it goes back to, yes, I'm defending them, but we have been, as a cricketing nation, we've been giving our wickets away as a collective for far too long. It seems like it's part of
it's part and parcel of who we are now.
Yeah. Like,
you know, and I raised the point when we did the last episode, when we did the preview, actually, that it seems like Ireland have got our number, and we can't seem to get over that hump.
Kevy, everybody got our number now. Even Scotland and just not UAE can get our number. Let me tell you something. The day UAE got our number, I done.
But
Scotland and them team, everybody got our number now. Kevy and Sammy. Yeah, sorry.
How many years ago did Gregory say that West Indies is pretty much an associate team?
Gregory said about 15
about 2 decades ago, right?
Yeah, 15, 20 years ago. Yeah.
All right. But here's a point that we don't think about quite a lot when we consider West Indies cricket. I mean, we've said it from time to time, but it's a crucial point to know. Afghanistan, no issues there in terms of the 2027 ODI World Cup, right? They're pretty much there, right?
Yeah.
Now, when we think of Afghanistan as a country in recent decades, the first image that comes to mind is war and deprivation and what have you. Now, I imagine that the guys are um, hosted in some third country. I don't know that they live in
They're in the
Afghanistan.
UAE.
The UAE,
Whenever
right?
yes, they're hosting matches in the UAE now.
Right. But where do they live? Like do they live in Afghanistan or do they live outside of Afghanistan? They live free. Right, good. All right. Now, what those guys have over the West Indies, in my opinion, is unity. Don't ever underestimate the power. When you look around, you look right, you look left, is your Afghani teammate. Here in the West Indies, we are separated by water. In the case of Jamaica, Jamaica is in a whole other time zone, right? So on top of the fact that we're not playing enough cricket, it is hard to bring that unity of team. And so what you have sometimes is a lot of insularity and suspicions, and all these things might very well be the dynamic of the West Indies team.
Let me share something. Afghanistan, you look at it, war torn, right? Got all kinds of social issues and all kinds of things going on. You pick a problem, I've been there.
They got it.
They got it.
Right.
You understand me? What those young men have, you mentioned unity, but is a collective drive to prove the world wrong. You understand me?
Right.
Yeah.
That is what they have. They don't have a local operating league right now. The cricketing infrastructure in Afghanistan is
there you go.
Is in shreds.
Right.
You understand me?
Right.
So a lot of times when people say certain things and we talk about West Indies, I don't want to hear it. Just like how we got social issues or whatever. You understand? Or differences. Those people got tribal differences and all kinds of stuff. So how come is it they are willing to make it work at the end of the day? When they come on the cricketing field, they are willing to put whatever it is aside and say, guys, we are playing for the flag. We are playing for the nation of Afghanistan. I don't care if you're Shiite, I don't care if you're Sunni, I don't care if you're Pashto, if you're speaking Pashto, whatever the case it might be.
But Kevin, but you see where you said you see the point is, and that's why I hate nationalism in many ways, as in the context of the Caribbean, because a lot of times you heard about it playing for the context of playing for Afghanistan. But in the Caribbean, we're Jamaicans, we're Barbadian, we're Guyanese, we're Trinidad, we're Vincentians, and so on, right? And that's where that comes in. So a lot of times we don't see ourselves as one. I've always been an integrationist. I believe in the construct of the CARICOM because of our small nature and the importance of us being one. But a lot of times, as Sammy said, the insularity takes precedence over everything. And everybody wants, instead of, if the best West Indian team, for me as a West Indian supporter, doesn't have one Guyanese for 10 years, I would
I
not.
don't care.
I wouldn't care.
Don't care.
I
Of
wouldn't
course
care.
not. Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm saying that at the end of the day, that's the West Indies, because I realized that from as I said, somebody said in a group that we were not qualified to talk about politics and social issues. Let me know. This is what we do for a living.
No, well, I don't know.
The person don't know none of the three way. You understand?
That's
Right.
what we do. That's what we do for a living.
All three of us, that's what we do. Listen, I can't figure out for the life in me. All these years, the West Indies have been an institution. You understand me? And that flag, that maroon flag with the West Indies crest on it. And I can't understand for the life in me how young men from a young age desire to play for West Indies. And simply can't say we playing for the flag there. We ain't playing for the Jamaican flag. We ain't playing for the Bajan flag. We ain't playing for the Trini flag. We ain't playing for the Guyana flag. We playing for the maroon flag. Where the national anthem come, rally. You understand me? The anthem that is make your pores raise up every time you hear it.
Make big man cry at somebody.
Make big man cry like me.
No comment. I was hiding. I had a crew around me, you know. I was hiding.
Anyways, fellas, moving on. So the ladies found themselves in a tough spot yesterday, and it seems like only one person was pretty much qualified to play. I would say.
Hey, right now she's the best bat person in the West Indies.
She's the best cricketer in the world, bar none.
Male and female. She's the best.
I mean, Hayley Matthews is the best cricketer in the world. It's got to be tough for Hayley Matthews. It's got to be really, really, really tough.
I'm gonna ask you all a question. I looking at Hayley bat, right? And I heard she was playing first division. Y'all think Hayley could make West Indies team?
She'll probably hold her own.
You know, that question was asked, you know.
I think Hayley could bat better than Chandrika.
Well, we know that, man.
Oh, Lord.
Listen, Hayley would hold her own. You understand me? Hayley Matthews would hold her own in a full men's match. I strongly believe so. Right?
Yeah.
But when I looked at the rest of the lineup yesterday, it showed a bunch of young women out of their depth. Right? In the absence of DeAndre Dutton and Chanel Henry and Stephanie Taylor, it was a group of young women who were out of their depth. And it's no fault of theirs. Truth be told, it is no fault of theirs. You understand?
Yeah, even you could tell really Anna Grayman didn't realize that the level I hope she learned fast how you got to be taught. Kevi, let me tell you this here.
That was shocking.
Let me tell you all this here. So we played University of Guyana versus Barbados.
I know the story.
Phil Wallace was playing. So this is not first class cricket. This is a level above first division cricket. This is the highest level I play. We're at board. You know your bike could have feel side at point. We want somebody bowl a wide one and Phil Wallace get back and bang! I makes us a good a dive in the air so I can pull off a nice one. All I hear is I in the middle of the ear and I hear bang, the ball don't reach Kenny Wizard stand already.
You didn't believe a man could hit the cricket ball so hard, eh?
Let me tell y'all, yes, people don't understand as you go up the level how fast the game gets.
Moves.
Me and Cart, I see we same feel while it's come bang, I hit the ball reaching to you faster than they think, and I talking about get Philo. Well, Farnham he go and play cricket in England, so he should understand, and he at the faster level. But it's that me and Cart is like shoot what to this game quicker as a higher get. So what happened to really Anna Grimman is that she don't realize how fast the game could get. It's not. This is. I was like, wow. It's as you rightly said, it's out of her depth. But I'm telling you, I like the women game, and I think that we could give them some time, and I think the second match they'll do better.
The technical aspect of the game yesterday, in the brief moments that she spent at the crease, right? The technical aspect of the game with where she's concerned, I was impressed. You understand me? She spent about probably like 10 minutes at the crease. She faced about 5-6 balls, I can't remember. But the way how she played, she looked quite comfortable. But you could tell she wasn't quite switched on for the other moments of the game. You understand? Where you have to be on your toes every living moment. The mental aspect, she didn't quite grasp it. You understand? But the technical aspect, she was there.
You know, you know what, fellas? All of those young ladies could bat. All of them got some talent. Her, Gajnabi, Mandy Mangru, the young lady, Alia Allen, double A, they call her. The other young lady, the
Zeta
medium
James.
pace. Jada James could bat.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
know
but
that.
she could but the thing is that but every way now and then I say she plays, but is as you rightly said, it's just at that level, it's just little mistakes you make. As you
There's no
rightly said,
room for it.
there's no, as you could, and I'm telling you, as you said, I never thought that somebody could hit the ball that hard. And it's not a joke when people imagine Chris Gayle and them, and it's a different level, Sammy.
Yeah.
It's a different level. So I understand. As you rightly said, I was like, oh shoots. It's like, and you know what? I'm never beating up the females because I
No,
don't think
you
that
can't beat them up. Can't beat them up.
because they get a short end of the stick, and I think they passionate and you could see more
They're willing.
effort.
They're very willing. They're very willing.
Did they, one question I didn't realize, did they drop Campbell yesterday? Or is she injured?
So I saw her on the bench with a bib on, so I don't know if she was dropped. I don't know if it was to give someone else a chance because usually she's one of the better batters that we have, right? She's a very good wicket keeper.
Yeah,
So
she's the best.
I don't know if it was just a matter of giving someone else a run out. And, probably it was.
I think maybe they want to wake her up because I think that she's sharp. She gets starts, but she just never goes on. Because
Yeah.
she can bat. That young
Yeah,
lady can
she
bat.
can bat.
She can bat, yeah.
Yeah, Campbell can bat. Um, y'all spent
Yeah,
some time on the 18 game yesterday.
Yeah.
Some thoughts, because I got some thoughts here. So
for
Let's
me,
have you go.
Kevlon Anderson. I mean, in our preview, I said, look, I want to see him put some runs up, and he did. In fact, he faced a total of what, 47 balls.
scored pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mentioned the number of balls because Alec Athene faced the same amount, right? So yeah, both him and Kevlon faced 47 balls. Kevlon, as we know, got 45. Alec Athene is 33. Those are the two people I was watching to see how they would do. But I must admit, I didn't have the time to really get into the game as such. It was a rough day outside of the three losses, or for some people, four losses, because some people are Manchester United fans and they got a beating from
So
what, Tottenham.
listen. I was hoping nobody had said nothing. I've been being
That's
quiet.
the team. That's the team.
Relegation.
I don't know. I don't follow.
Illumination, relegation.
Yesterday was a real rough day for me, buddy. Yesterday was a real rough day.
I
Four.
For it. Yeah. The thing
Anyways,
was,
your thoughts on the game, Walter?
I looked at a lot of people got starts. Kevlon looked like he belong. Wickham looked like he belong. We wanted to see. Our players, we got a lot of people got starts and they didn't finish. It was a very strong South Africa team. We can with people, a lot of people a lot of experience. Jediah Blades look
Stand out.
yeah, he is
Head and
he's
shoulders.
yeah, he definitely is one. He's one for the future. I hope he just keeps with upward trajectory. Marquinhos Minley, he looked decent. A little too slow. I know he thinks, but he puts the ball in the spot. Kevlon actually bowled and got 2 wickets.
I was going to ask you about Kevlon and the bowling too.
O'Shane.
Yeah.
This is one player I'm so disappointed. I really thought that he would have. I don't know why is it he doesn't train hard enough? I don't know. He is physically gifted. He's someone these people is born to bowl fast, naturally. But you got to be fit. As the great Andy Roberts said, you got to find it. It got to be in your legs. You got to bowl. You got to bowl. If you want, you 1,000 deliveries.
So
Yeah.
yesterday's the two men's matches, the two
Mhm.
matches that our men played, kind of mirrored each other when it came to bowling, right? It didn't seem like there was like they were able to stick to a clear plan. They were either up or they were either down, right? The bowling was quite up and down. Against Ireland, they allowed Sterling and Balburney to settle in and do what
Dictate.
they needed to do. You know, they weren't consistent. And when you look down at the Darren Sammy Stadium, it was the same thing, right? They couldn't decide, other than Jediah Blades, they couldn't decide how they wanted to keep how they should keep the South Africans quiet, right? They were quite up and down, and they paid for it. Matter of fact, for good, just like how West Indies didn't allow Ireland to get away. You understand? The A team men didn't allow South Africa to get away, but they just couldn't seem to stick to that line and length consistently that they needed to put the South Africans under pressure. And next thing you know, 283. That's a pretty competitive total at that level, right? And then you're thinking to yourself, well, okay, just like the men up in Ireland, you got 303 runs to play with. You don't got to do nothing special. Work the ball around, the boundary balls are going to come. Same thing was required down at the Darren Sammy Stadium. And they made hard work of it. Kevlon Anderson was rotating strike, working the ball around, doing some good things. Ateneo seemed like he wanted to beat the cover off of the ball, but he pushed the ball around. It's less than a runner ball. Push the ball around.
It was a soft shot. It was very soft.
Kadeem Aline got a start and decided, well, oh, I ain't gonna move my foot. Just like Brandon King yesterday morning.
Yeah, that was, yeah.
You understand me? Fellas, people bowling fast at you, you got to move your foot. But you see all this T20 and primarily T20 cricket where people just stand up, waft the bat and close the eye. And now when you got to stand up for a little bit longer and be a little bit more technically proficient, sounder, it just catch you out. Ireland didn't do nothing special with the ball yesterday. Neither did the South Africans down at the Darren Sammy Stadium. All the South Africans did yesterday, they were very professional. They ran, they stuck to a plan, bowled us at a certain line and length, and tell West Indies, come and meet we. Try to get us off of this line and length.
You know, going around, I think our cricketers people need to like sit down and talk cricket a lot more with some of our cricketers. I don't know. Sunil Gavaskar. Do you know that I was listening to Jarrah Kimber and about his book, the top 75 best batsmen. Do you know that Sunil Gavaskar has one of the fastest
Test centuries?
Test centuries, right? The great Sir Donald Bradman, technically correct batsman, at a 22 ball 100, fast 100 at a time. People forget that at the end of the day, whether you're playing T20 cricket or
one-day cricket
or
test cricket,
batsmanship is still the most important. The greatest batsman in the modern era is Virat Kohli. He has I think the most runs in the IPL right now.
Mm-hmm.
At the end of the day, it's batsmanship and we have to remember it's not just, as you said, just you move, be great. It's like, and Brandon King, he has that grace, but I guess players that are born in this era, and what about Mr. Our best T20 batsman Pooran, right? He when a lot of times when he plays his good innings, his proper cricketing shots he plays, even though he could hit the ball, he's a six hitter, you know. And people forget about the great Chris Gayle. Chris Gayle normally saw himself but it was cricketing shots he played.
Yeah.
And if you people and another thing that Chris Gayle was an expert at is hitting the ball away from fielders.
Remember when Brian Lara was asked about who in the West Indies he would say stood the greatest chance of breaking his record or something? Who did he call?
Chris Gayle.
Chris Gayle.
Christopher
And Chris
Henry
Gayle came closest.
Yeah,
Yes,
three
sir.
to the three. Mm.
You
And
understand?
what you mentioned there, Walter, about Brian Lara, about
Virat Kohli?
Chris Gayle.
Chris
Chris
Gayle.
Gayle hitting the ball away from fielders. I hope our young cricketers would have read Brian Lara's book, which came out last summer.
Mm.
Brian Lara used to play cricket in the yard like many of us young West Indian boys and girls. And he would position the plant pots at different and pretend they were fielders. And in his backyard, his aim was to hit the ball away from the plant pot. So he said when he went out there to play, and he mentioned, he didn't say who, maybe it was Carl Hooper, I don't know. He said there's some players who they could play beautifully, but they would hit the ball to the fielder. Maybe it wasn't Carl. I'm not saying he,
No,
It could be
not
Carl.
Yeah.
But he did mention, yes, some players are beautiful in how they play the ball or what have you, but they play the ball to the fielder. He was clinical in not doing that.
Talking about Jack Collis, where he said when he first came out, he used to play. Jack Collis, by the way, got one of the sweetest cover drives. And he said he used to hit the ball to people all the time. And then on one season, he just worked Kevy, was hitting it a little later. And he was able to maneuver it and play it in the gaps. So I guess a lot of times what we're saying is up to the players, the individual players.
Absolutely.
And I hope that for all the games, the players become better tomorrow. We have all the games again tomorrow, right?
No, the 18th plays on Saturday.
One is on Saturday. Yeah, the men's game is on Saturday, right?
No, the
women and the men tomorrow.
The women and the men tomorrow, and the 18 plays on Saturday.
Saturday, perfect. Yeah.
So I mean, isn't it Brian Lara that says he looks at gaps, not feelers?
I'm not sure, but I won't be surprised.
I think the great man said that. He says he sees gaps, not feelers.
Feelers.
Well, anyways, fellas, Roston Chase had a interview with Sportsmax, and I think Sammy, you were privy to that interview. You actually got a chance to watch it. I haven't had the chances yet. Can you give us your thoughts on Roston's interview with Sportsmax tonight?
Yeah, so I got a chance to listen to it as going about my business this evening before we got on, and I think it was an excellent interview. I don't recall if I didn't get to the end, but it might have been 5 minutes left or what have you. But for what I heard, it was good. So one of the things, which I find to be important was his being asked to be captain. He said, look, first of all, he was not surprised by the call from Cricket West Indies to be considered for the test squad or the test team. Because apparently, going back to last year, 2024, they were reaching out to him, asking him to come back into the fold, right? What he was surprised about was, of course, the request for him to be considered for the captaincy of the West Indies Test side. Now, I want to step back a bit because in one of our discussions, because we've been talking about Roston Chase for the last week and a half or so since his name got called that Tuesday afternoon, a couple of weeks back. But one of the points I made is that we have not properly interrogated what happened to our cricketers during COVID and coming out of COVID. We mentioned here Roston Chase had 5 centuries in Test cricket and about 11 50s or something. But then after 2020, you could see clearly there was a fall off there, right? Did that have something to do with COVID? And when I say something to do with COVID, COVID made a lot of people think about their futures, think about their families. Was it something at that point that made Roston Chase say, you know what? I need to go make some T20 money in a year or so. I'll be 30. I can't put my faith entirely in West Indies cricket to look out for myself and my family have a future. I need to be focusing on white ball cricket and make some money in franchise cricket. And he pretty much said that, look, he focused on white ball cricket. He wanted to get into the franchise game, make some money. I am just saying, I wonder if the COVID period was the catalyst to that really pushed him to say, things could happen at any moment. All right. So that's the big takeaway I took from that in terms of him, being in the test side. So they were considering him. This wasn't something of, we're done with him. And I think, Kevin, you had made that point that you think he was going to come back into the fold.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So on top of that, I think he sounded like captaincy material. He was also diplomatic. A question was asked of him sometime last year when we had that big event in Trinidad with the leaders of the Caribbean and so on. Brian Lara made a point, and I'm not stating this verbatim, right? I'm paraphrasing here, that, okay, we in the West Indies, we take players with great potential and make them ordinary, while in other in other cricketing nations, they take ordinary players and make them great, right? So the host asked him about that comment, and I think he gave a diplomatic answer, 5 stars to him. He said, listen, he doesn't know about the comment, and he would prefer not to comment on that, and then he went on and he gave his answer. He could have easily said, well, I see where Brian was going, or I don't agree with Brian. He just didn't touch it. And I think that is excellent from him. One last point, which I think is instructive and is hopeful going forward. He said, look, he is not a dictator when it comes to leading. He's quiet. He tries to stay even keel, don't get too high, don't get too low. And we saw it in his batting in that first one day, right? So he tries to stay on an even level. But he says, look, he is willing to get insights from different players. Not about, you go there, you do this. That is not his style. And so what he has suggested is that he's going to have a leadership core that will help him in his decision making. I think if there's anyone in West Indies cricket that has any concerns or questions about Roston Chase, they need to look at that Sportsmax interview. The man was excellent, in my view.
A lot of people, they like I said the other day, they jump to his stats. It's like they forget the first part of his career. You understand? Right. It's like they've shut that out and said, okay, we'll just look at this little piece here where he had a lot of failures. But we'll ignore that this part here ever happened. And then they make their comments and their statements based on that. Yeah. But for a long time, I've been looking at Roston Chase, the cricketer, in totality. And just this person that you are describing here is what I've seen for the last 10 years. Someone who never gets too high, never gets too low. You rarely see him get upset on the field. Always just thereabouts even keel, and goes about his business. Goes about the business of West Indies cricket on the field. You understand? And I've been saying for the longest time, since Craig Braithwaite said, look, I've had enough. It's somebody else's turn now. I said, if Shea Hope doesn't take this, the next best man is Roston Chase. And I knew Weston, even if they didn't offer him the captaincy, he would have been recalled to the team. Because when you look out there is not many better than Roston Chase. You understand me? And Roston Chase came back into first class cricket last year against the Leeward Islands, who at the time were one of the top teams, and blazed 100 and took a 7-wicket haul. Came back this year, blazed another 100. Yes, he did fail in the match against Trinidad, but the game before that, he blazed 100.
Combined campuses, though, right?
I can't remember who it was that he played against.
Combined campuses, and he made 4-4, I think, against.
I mean, he put a little. Some people might say we need to put an asterisk on that one, but the point is,
I wouldn't do that.
100 is 100, right? Period.
100 is 100. You still got to go out there and make it.
Power class thing.
Yeah.
Right.
You still have to go there and score that.
Yeah.
You still have to go there and score that. So I'm never going to question the Roston Chase appointment. I will forever fly my West Indies flag, and I'm supporting West Indies. I'm not here to support one particular player. And I love the fact that he has said, hey, look, I'm going to do this by committee.
Yeah.
Yep.
You understand me? I love the fact that he said that. Because you can't see everything.
Of course.
You got a great young wicketkeeper batsman behind the stumps in Tevin Imlach, who's a very successful captain at the regional level, who is just about the same person, even keel. You understand me?
You got former captain Craig Braithwaite.
You got Craig Braithwaite.
If Holder comes in the team, he's the Holder. You
know, so he'll have a good core to work with. And the only thing we can ask is that one thing I have to ask the West Indies, especially at home, don't lose the matches. If you can't win it, don't lose it. You understand me? Can't win it, don't lose it.
Yeah.
That should be the baseline for West Indies going forward.
Yeah.
Anyways, fellas, great discussion tonight. Any predictions to tomorrow? The guys showed up yesterday and they didn't seem quite prepared. You think they would have gotten the rust knocked out of them? I mean, it should have after 124 runs defeat.
The question I have, we haven't spoken about this, and it has to do with Jaden Seals. He was under the weather. That's what I heard. Right. So the question is, does he play tomorrow? And if he comes in, do we rest Shamar Joseph? But here's the thing. When I put Shamar Joseph in the team, in our preview, I had him on there. My mind was not on the ODI, My mind was just to get Shamar Joseph enough hours on his legs in preparation for Australia. People, it's 30 years. My mind is on the Frank Worrell Trophy. Call me crazy, but my mind is on Australia. So whether it's T20 or one-day internationals we playing, I'm looking at our players getting much practice in.
Sammy?
So I'll be clear. That's why I want Shamar there. Yeah.
I am right there with you. You understand me? I personally, yes, West Indies should find a way to make sure they are at the 2027 World Cup. But in my book, the Frank Worrell Trophy means more than that.
Yeah.
Understand me? We getting our foot or standing back in Test cricket back to where it needs to be. That is more important to me than a World Cup. And the fact that Shamar got 7 overs yesterday.
Mm.
He hasn't bowled 7 overs in a long, long, long time. Since he left the first class season down here in the West Indies, he hasn't bowled 7 overs on.
And that was what, since February?
Since February.
Yeah. And Alzari looked good. So.
Yeah, Alzari did look good because Alzari's been playing. Right? Alzari's been playing for who's that, Zalmi?
Mm.
He's been playing. And listen, while Alzari hasn't done what he needs to do and taken up the mantle as the leader of the attack in red ball cricket, he's been one of our best bowlers over the years in white ball cricket.
Yeah, true.
You understand? I'm just waiting for Alzari to say, listen, I belong here where Test cricket is concerned. I'm the leader of this pack. I've been playing Test cricket since 2017 or whatever. Yeah. I am the leader of this pack. Because you can't have Jaden Seals do it by yourself. Mm-hmm. Instead of running Jaden Seals and Shamar Joseph, why not Jaden Seals, Shamar Joseph, and Alzari Joseph? So every time Australia look up, they must go, oh shucks. Oh, not Shamar again, not Alzari again. They should be tired. That's how it used to be in Marshall and Roberts and Garner. There was no relief.
Mm-hmm.
So I want us to return to that. And Alzari has got to say, I truly belong. So hopefully tomorrow the guys come out, do what they need to do.
2-1 for me. I still said 2-1. So we win in the next 2 games.
Yeah. I still hold it 2-1 West Indies.
No, we win in the next 2 games.
But Kevin, here's the thing though. When we were doing the preview, your suggestion was you wanted West Indies to bat first. Right? Even though we know over the years they have a preference for batting second and chasing. Do you think that was part of our downfall yesterday? I don't know.
I thought we missed a chance to set the tone in the game by batting. That is what I thought. We missed a chance to set the tone. First use of.
But when you say batting first or just
batting first?
Batting first.
Yes.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean,
there wasn't any demons in the pitch.
Yeah.
No demons in the pitch. So
right. Put some pressure. Put some pressure on Ireland.
And I always believe runs on the board is runs on the board. You understand?
And the ball wasn't swinging around like
no. The Irish made it do a little bit.
That's the thing, guys. We all recognize that it's like you playing a T20 match, and you have a total of 120 to win. Sometimes those small totals can give you some nightmares.
Very, very tricky. Very, very tricky.
So here you are at Dublin. The Irish score was pretty much under par. I don't know if we relax and say, yeah, man, we got this. I don't know. But for me, once Evan Lewis made that terrible run, I was like, nah, this ain't looking pretty. I would not have minded if we batted, if he stayed in there for 6 overs and we had like 3 runs per over. Once you keep the wickets in hand.
Exactly.
The ground is small enough. It wasn't a big ground.
That too.
The wicket then playing had no demons in it. You could have hit through the line.
Yeah.
And you rotate. You do that rotate strike.
I said it earlier in the show. There was nothing special to do other than knock the ball around. You understand? It was just over a ball, just over a runner ball, just over 304 to win.
But here's something else to consider, fellas. I have never played cricket at their level and, play in England and Ireland and these things, right? But I'm wondering, would it have been better, again, trying to support your view, Kevin? We bat first and we field when the sun, maybe when it's, later on in the day when it gets warmer, I'm guessing. Would that matter? I don't know.
I don't know. You understand? I strongly believe that if you try to put pressure on the opposition, from ball one.
But you know what it says, though. I think what Sammy was suggesting is that they wanted to give our bowlers the advantage in the early morning with the moisture, in the wicket, and I don't know if the conditions were.
You definitely use it if anything, Bender.
Well.
Sorry.
Walter just echoed it. He said they definitely did not use the conditions. If you're going to make use, if you're going to use if you're going to say, okay, I'm going to bowl, you have to make sure you use the conditions. If you're going to take first use of the conditions, make use of it. And like I said, it's like we couldn't stick to a plan when we were bowling.
Recall now the Irish had 3 debutants.
Yeah. 2 debutant fast bowlers. Anyways, fellas.
But anyway, one last thing before we wrap up. On Mason and Guest on Tuesday, Basil Butcher Jr. noted that he tried to get some information on Josh De Silva. He reached out to his contacts down in Trinidad and he was able to get direct word from Josh De Silva. Right? And Josh De Silva, as far as I recall, noted that, look, he doesn't know why he's out of the South Africa A tour. Cricket West Indies has not communicated to him. Fellas, I don't think we're going to see Joshua De Silva in whites when the Australians get to it. I don't see that happening. Because some people might say, well, we know what he can do. He did well in our 4-day competition. We're resting him. I don't buy that. I think we're not seeing him on the Australian tour.
Listen, Cricket West Indies have done it again. If you are going to not select a player, especially someone who was your vice captain, and has been the constant in the team for the last 5 years, you owe that man an explanation. You owe that man, hey Josh, look, we didn't select you because of XYZ reason. You understand? We looking to go in a different direction. Reach out. You don't have to tell it to the public. At least tell the man that. So now he's not sitting here wondering, what did I do? Because when he came back from Pakistan, he held up his end of the bargain. He went and he made runs. We wanted him to make runs. You understand? That was the platform that you gave him to make runs, and he did that. So he held up his end of the bargain. So I can't understand how you're going to tell me, because he's a better player than Kamal Savory. I'll say that much.
Hey, you can't argue against them.
Kamal,
so you know what I think. What I think going forward, Josh De Silva has got to make a case to be a batsman. I don't know, somewhere between number 4, number 6. Going into the future, because
he's talented enough to do it.
The wicket-keeping position is not going to be his thing.
Well, he's had a conversation with cricket, Darren Sammy and Miles Bascom. I don't see him stop keeping, but I can see him still putting, because Django is a wicketkeeper by trade too.
I was going to go there. If Django can cement his place in the Test side,
you understand? If Django can, a wicketkeeper batsman can make the team as a pure batsman, and I think Josh De Silva is good enough. All you got to do is put your mind to it.
Right.
You understand me? I think he's good enough. I don't see a problem because.
Well, look, how I see it, he has age on his side.
Yeah, 26 years old.
On his side.
Yeah.
He's gotta have a stellar
next 2 years
season next year. Repeat the same thing.
Bat earlier for Trinidad, bat at 4.
But that's where he batted.
Yeah. He bats at 4, is that 4 or 5? I think it's 5 or 6 he bat.
I think anywhere there, 4, 5, 6. Just to put up your hand for West Indies cricket.
Listen, whether he batting at 4, 5, or 6, there's a spot. Because if Cricket West Indies, if Darren Sammy said, hey Josh, I want you to bat at 4, what is he going to say? No?
Yeah, of course not.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You want to play. Anyways, fellas, looking forward to the game tomorrow. I hope West Indies bat first. I honestly hope they bat first. You understand me? I hope they put pressure on the Irish early.
Right.
I think the cobwebs have gotten knocked out, and they should be good to go. There's some running in the legs, and I think they're good to go.
What about Joel Andrew, Walter?
We ain't changing the team.
No, I don't think the team needs to be changed.
Not for tomorrow, but for the third ODI. The fact that we've lost the first, do we bring Joel Andrew in?
That depends on tomorrow.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, I think it depends on not only what happens in terms of Carty.
I don't see them dropping Casey Carty like that.
No, Carty didn't do anything really to be dropped. Carty's been making runs, Carty got out for the last year, so yeah.
So even if he doesn't perform tomorrow, you still keep him on the. So all right, here's the context. Here's the context. God forbid we lose tomorrow and Casey Carty doesn't perform. Do we keep him in on the third ODI?
Tommy, let us not rush that little boy. Let him be around the thing. Y'all just rush people too much.
All right, point taken, sir.
Last season in fit for purpose.
Right.
In the words of the great Kevin Henry.
Yeah, listen, y'all seeing why I'm saying that?
Right.
The discipline is required at the international level.
Mm-hmm.
When let's take our batsmen before we go. Let's take our batsmen for instance. When they're playing first class cricket, you got bowlers letting you off the hook. They're bowling 1-2 balls where they need to hit it, and then they get off line and length. When you get into international cricket, you get in 2-3 overs of sustained pressure with the odd bad ball. You understand? The men are at you every delivery. So now when our batsmen come to international cricket, they're expecting what they get at first class cricket, right? They're expected to be let off the hook after 2 balls. That doesn't happen. Josh Hazelwood is not going to give you that. Mitchell Stark and Pat Cummins are not going to, and Nathan Lyon are not going to give you that. Right now, they're experiencing it over in Ireland. McCarthy and Tom Hayes, and even though some of these guys are new to international cricket, they understand the assignment.
Yeah.
Do not let these men off the hook.
Plus, the Australians will tell you about it.
Oh, yeah, they're going to tell you about it. Anyways, fellas, we're going to catch up later. Good discussion tonight. Looking forward to a West Indies victory tomorrow. Looking forward to a better performance from the ladies. And maybe another 100 from Haley Matthews. We're going to catch y'all later.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.